Hey everybody, welcome back. We're about 52% through the foundations, and now we're working through the box model. Introduction. Now that you understand the basics, syntax of HTML and CSS, we're going to get serious. The most important skills you need to master with CSS are positioning and layout. Changing fonts and colors is a crucial skill, but being able to put the things to exactly where you want them on a web page is even more crucial. After all, how many web pages can you find where absolutely every element is just stacked one on top of the other? Learning to position elements on a web page is not that difficult once you understand just a few key concepts. Unfortunately, many learners race through HTML and CSS to get to JavaScript and end up missing the fundamental concepts. This leads to frustration and pain. And funny GIFs. CSS. Okay. Because all JavaScript skills in the world are meaningless if you can't stick your elements on the page where you need them to be. So with that in mind, let's get started. Lesson overview. This section contains a general overview of topics that you will learn in this lesson. You will learn all about the box model. You will learn how to make sure elements are just the right size with margin, padding, and borders. The box model. The most important concept that you need to understand to be successful in CSS is the box model. It isn't complicated, but skipping over it now would cause you much frustration down the line. Every single thing on a web page is in a rectangular box. These boxes can have other boxes in them and sit alongside one another. You can get a rough idea of how this works by applying an outline to every element on the page, like this. Okay, so let's try it. We're going to use our inspecting element thing, and in our element style, can we do this? Oh man, I'm not sure that we can. Maybe if we go up to the head, and in the style sheet, we could edit this, edit HTML, and within the style attribute, instead of adding that, we could go pound, and then go outline to px solid red. And if we apply that by that, there we go. We've done it. We've added, and this is what they're talking about. You can see that there's red, what is it, an outline around everything. Now that kind of makes the page look terrible, so I'm going to try to edit this, edit HTML, and get rid of this. And this kind of goes along with like what we were doing with the last one with inspecting HTML. But we did that. That shows what we did. You can use the browser's inspector to add the CSS above the web page if you want by clicking the plus button on the top right of the styles panel within the elements tab, boxes and boxes. Okay, so they're saying if we do inspect and we go to the top right and click the plus button here. Yeah, there we can do the same thing. What was it? Outline 2 pixels solid red. Yeah, same thing happens. So that's another way to do what I just did, and you can actually unclick it now. Okay, cool. You can use the browser's inspectors to add CSS styles panel to the elements, boxes, and red. Okay, so there might be some some circles in the above images. But when it comes to layout, they fit together like rectangular boxes and not circles. In the end, laying out a web page and positioning all the elements is deciding how you are going to nest and stack these boxes. The only real complication here is that there are many ways to manipulate the size of these boxes and the space between them using padding, border, and margin. The assigned articles go into more depth on this concept, but to sum it up briefly, padding increases the space between the border of a box and the contents of the box. Border adds space, even if it's only a pixel or two between the margin and the padding. And margin increases the space between the border of a box and the borders of adjacent boxes. Be sure to study this diagram carefully. So as you can see, padding's here, and the border is there. The border is a small little bit, and then the margin's right here. Margin. So yeah. Looks like those are all 0. Okay, so assignment. Learn CSS model in 8 minutes. You guys can go through that on your own. Box sizing, box easy. It's an add-on the above resources with a better explanation of box sizing. Because the box model concept is so incredibly fundamental, let's dig a bit deeper with MDM's lesson in the box model. Okay, you guys can go through that on your own. And the CSS tricks page on margin. Let's see what this is about. Get affordable and hassle-free WordPress hosting, blah, blah, blah. So this is basically just talking about how to adjust box in that. So knowledge check. From the inside to the outside, what is the order of the box model properties? What was the order? Didn't they say it? Padding, border, margin. Padding, border, margin. Okay, let's check this guy out. If we inspect here and we go to this guy, we're going to see padding, border, margin in various sizes. Padding. So if we take that out, we see that it looks differently. You see that? Margin. Okay. Margin of 0. If we take that out, it doesn't make much of a difference. Margin of 0. Okay. Well, that's basically what they're saying there. What does box sizing in the CSS property do? I can't really go into detail right now. Would you use margin or padding to create more space between two elements? We could inspect and then add one. We could do asterisk for doing everything, and then we could go like margin, make it 5 pixels. Okay, now you see how everything has margin. Well, what's the difference if we make it padding of 5 pixels? Okay, now we see that everything's totally messed up. Yeah, margin or padding. Would you use margin or padding if you wanted two elements to overlap each other? What if we made it negative 5 pixels? Okay, now we see that everything is not lined up properly, right? So what about if we did this with margin? I guess margin can't be negative 5 pixels. So yeah, I don't know. That's the way that I think about this. And then there's some additional resources for you guys to look at. But for now, I think that we've completed this one. So I'm going to mark it as complete. And we'll move on to the next lesson, block and inline. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.